Gary Gensler is getting grilled by Congress, and we got the clips for you. This is Around the Blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. Green Day Profits was in first, guys. We got a fantastic episode with 3 phenomenal guests. We got to talk about SEC. We got to talk about ETH. We're going to talk about oil companies mining Bitcoin. But we're going to go ahead and start. He knows about the oil companies. I think he was there during Katrina, but he wasn't looting like it was Philadelphia. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Doing great, brother. I was there during Katrina and also the BP oil spill. So I know a ton about oil.
Guys, Kevin was actually washing the ducks with Dawn soap, so we're going to go ahead and give him 1 point. But then some animals, they did perish, but they ended up making a jacket for Doug Hype. Doug, how are you doing today? I'm kidding, of course. That's what are we rocking today? Is that chinchilla?
Ooh, yeah, baby. Some people think it's chinchilla. Some people think it's rabbit. Some people think it might be like, a certain person we don't talk about. So, DZ, look, let me tell you something. I have a pink fur coat in my Twitter profile, and someone the other day told me to dye my fur coat red or pink, DZ. All right? Look, nothing's happening to this fur coat. 100-degree heat, traveling around the world, it doesn't matter, bro. It's impenetrable. It's bulletproof. You ain't getting through this, no matter who you are, baby.
All right, challenge accepted by PETA and someone with a bunch of red nail polish. We're kidding. Do not go after Doug, folks. And then last but not least, we have Kelly Kellam from BitLab Academy. He just took off his lab coat. Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Content all day. I'm happy to be back with you guys. I haven't been on here for a while. Happy to be on the ATB. Shout out to everybody here in the audience. Hit that like button. Let's talk some crypto. Hey,
Kelly, if you want to order a beaker, I will drink from the beaker in the morning stream and then, just give you a nice little shout out on BitLab Academy. All right. Now, that isn't from the Brandon Shots channel, is it?
No, I got this from, I got it straight out of Albuquerque. And it's a legacy item that produces some very high intensity energy.
All right. Well, what I like to put chili pepper in it because that's my trademark there. All right. Old school Breaking Bad reference. All right, guys. So let's talk about SEC in hot water. I want to go ahead and just start. Big shout out to Bankless. They've collected some of the best clips. We're just going to show you 3 of them. Some of them as short as 13 seconds. This won't take too long. So Gary Gensler had to speak in front of Congress today, and it was an oversight hearing where he was grilled by politicians over his mismanagement of the commission, or they gave him glowing reviews. I think Maxine Rodder said, "You're doing a fantastic job protecting the American consumer." So there's a little bit of both sides here. No one in the middle, though. I wonder why. Well, let's just show a few clips here. First, we have this is McHenry. He is the chairman of the committee here, getting grilled. Here's the hottest clips.
Answer to the public and to Congress, and we intend to get your compliance. We can do it the easy way or the hard way. And with that, I yield back. The ranking member is now recognized for...
He hit him with the easy way or the hard way like he was Clint Eastwood, folks. All right, let's watch the next one. Someone photoshopped Gary with the Coinbase logo.
Do you believe Bitcoin is not a security?
Thank you, Chair. And I think you're referencing remarks I made as a professor at MIT. And as I wrote in that paper,
no comment on whether or not the guy was bald and if his first name was Brian. And then we have this one's a little bit longer, 39 seconds, talking about Pokemon cards. Is buying a Charizard considered buying a security? What about if it's tokenized?
Suppose I were to purchase a Pokemon card. Would doing so constitute a security transaction?
you can purchase a Pokemon card. I don't know what the context is, but if you're purchasing a Pokemon card.
Like purchase a Pokemon card, is that a security transaction?
Store, that's not a security.
Okay. If I were to purchase a tokenized Pokemon card on a digital exchange via a blockchain, is that a security transaction?
I'd have to know more.
Okay, so for you, the process of tokenization is what transforms a non-security transaction into a security transaction?
Look, if the investing...
I thought you were technology neutral.
All right, guys, it is unfortunate for every 10th grader across America. They're being subpoenaed by Gary Gensler right now. I am sorry, parents. You better hide your kids' Pokemon notebook. It's going to get a little scary out there. Now, Kevin, I just want to ask you, is trading the Charizard trading a security?
It really depends, DZ. First, you got to break down: is it a hologram Charizard card? Is it mint condition? A lot of questions. And guys, if you're watching that clip, you ever seen The Dark Knight? You know when the Joker says, "I know a squealer when I see one." That's exactly what that looked like right there. But no, guys, I'll take this to the grave. Pokemon cards are not securities. They do not pass the Howey test.
All right, good breakdown there. Now, why do you think he's making a distinction whether or not it's tokenized? Is it because he doesn't want to arrest a bunch of 11-year-olds?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see the SEC go after Pokemon cards. I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. But,
All right.
you know, like you said, he would not say that Bitcoin is a commodity. And I think that's really what I took from that.
Should we lock up all the 6th graders?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, all right. I was going to reduce 7 points if you said no. All right. Well, Doug, you know, part of the reason they were grilling him is also him and FTX's communication. The SEC, FTX had a lot of back channel communication. There was long seeking information regarding this. They had to go to Freedom of Information Request Act here regarding SEC and Department of Justice communications regarding what to do with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. McHenry first asked for the documents 7 months ago. Hey, what did you say to Sam? What did Sam say back? I just want to know. Show me the messages. 7 months ago, nothing, dragging their heels. He then renewed the request in April using the Freedom of Information Act, still dragging the heels, clearly became frustrated. Here's his quote. As I said, our patience is wearing thin. I do not want to be the first chairman of this committee to issue a subpoena to the SEC. Will Gary Gensler be subpoenaed, Doug?
Well, I think the real question is how many Pokemon cards has Gary Gensler invested in? All right, look, DZ. I mean, they can subpoena people. Will he actually show up? Who's in charge of this country? Like, who's running the show? So there's always somebody, a chairman or a senator or somebody subpoenaing or asking questions, right? And what do we get? The same response every time. So what do people do in these positions? In politics, police, whatever, they're always trying to prevent things from happening in the future, right? It's not so much like whether what they're doing is the right thing. They're so worried about crypto and what's happening and them looking bad that they're basically just going to throw crypto under the bus. Literally, he was given a thing of like, hey, Pokemon versus crypto. What's security and what's not? And he's like, well, if it's not crypto, it's not security automatically, pretty much. Just it's not. Like, if it's not a security, right? So what we know for sure, a fact is that Gary Gensler is never going to actually say anything. They can subpoena him. They can do whatever he wants. He's just basically like a human version of a Pokemon. If you were like the Pokemon master, right, and you threw out your little thing and you were like, Padoom, and he popped out and it would be this like, you know, Mr. Smithers type dude, like, with the like lightning, like the emperor coming out of his fingers. You know what I'm saying? Like, just electrocuting like you ask a question and you just get electrocuted. Like, there's no questions when it comes to the finance head of the United States. I'm sorry, but you just have to basically do whatever we say you're going to do. And I don't know. At some point, does anybody actually think Gary Gensler will ever make a good decision in terms of crypto? I think that he could have done that so many times. Nothing is going to come out of this. The only thing they can do is get rid of him and find somebody to take his place. But I really don't think that's going to happen.
Dang it, Doug. You know what? I should have never listened to him when he said Algorand has great tech, because I've been down. I've been down ever since. I think Suave House has the best comment here. My 4-year-old is going to the slammer. Well, go ahead, start teaching your 4-year-old how to sharpen a toothbrush, maybe how to wear a magazine underneath a t-shirt. These are going to be some lessons they need, or lessons they might need for elementary school next year. Who knows? All right. Well, Kelly, we're trying to see this communication between the SEC and the Department of Justice regarding FTX. If we see some communication, it seems like they try to protect them, at least on some level. If we see some proof that they're trying to protect SBF, what do you think is the tinfoil hat reason they want to protect Sammy Boy and FTX?
Man, that's a loaded question. And it ties into the complete contrary approach of blockchain and crypto as opposed to the way our U.S. government works, as well as different governments around the world. But we're talking about Gary, we're talking about our government here. Blockchain is ultimately transparent, especially depending on which protocol you're talking about. In this case, Bitcoin. I think all this, going back to what Doug just said, it ties into the same thing with FTX. I think what he's doing right now is not, I actually don't even think Gary has a problem with Bitcoin being a spot ETF. I think there's a foot on his neck And he's essentially doing everything that he can do to delay as long as possible because it is inevitable. This is a global asset. Larry Fink from BlackRock said it himself, and I think it was more important than the spotty Bitcoin ETF application when he went on his little press junket shortly after that the spotty application went in, saying that Bitcoin is an international asset that transcends fiat currencies. That is the most powerful statement from the largest asset manager in the history of the world, saying that, giving the go-ahead to not only the U.S., but financial family, small family offices, and even large ones as well across the world. This is an asset that is here to stay, and there's nothing they can do about it. We have institutions on the horizon. So it seems to me like there's more of a concerted effort to suppress as long as possible. And it doesn't worry them about that because the end result is the best bull market that will only continue going probably long until most of our 20, 30 years from now. If you really zoom out on Bitcoin, don't look at a 4-hour chart. If you look at the monthly chart of Bitcoin from its genesis to this point now, if you looked at that as a 4-hour chart, that would be a bull market with small corrections along the way. On the monthly chart, we get so wrapped up in this bear market thing. Looking at what Gary Gensler is doing, they know it's going to go up, so they're suppressing it as long as possible. And it's not transparent, which is why they're also not letting the conversations around FTX leak into this, because I think all this actually ties together. And so that's why they're not, doing all the things they're asking the citizens to do. And it's trash.
It is trash. It's trash. It's trash, I say. Gensler, what are you thinking here? We got a couple more comments. One from Doug Hype himself down below. When will Gensler wear a fur coat like the wannabe pimp he is? Also, we got Cowboys of Crypto giving a +1 to Just Jim. Cowboys. We love Cowboys. He's always wrestling up the hot comments here. All right, well, let's switch gears here and talk about ETH's road to $10 billion in revenue. What do you mean by ETH revenue? That, ETH revenue, what are they like selling burgers or cell phones or something? No, the revenue, we're talking about the fees that are deriving from collections on transactions. Think of an ETH gas fee. Payments for dApps. Think, you got some sort of swap, some sort of exchange. You're going to end up burning some gas for that. Also, NFT trading, and even more so, NFT minting. The minting can really take an effect, and so can those DeFi applications, depending on what that DeFi app is trying to accomplish there. But let's just pull up this graphic. It took ETH, they were almost number one in reaching $10 billion worth of revenue here. You can see there's one company that were able to exceed them. They were faster than Facebook. They're faster than Microsoft. They're faster than Salesforce. They're faster than WeWork. They're faster than everybody except Google. That is Alphabet, the parent company of Google right there. But Google, Ethereum, and Facebook/Meta all coming in very, very close, right around the 6-7 year mark right there. Recently, a lot of ETH revenue coming from the L2s and the L, leading like Base, the Friend Tech, and all the apps that are happening on the L2s. Base is kind of leading the way right now. I looked at some Amazon stuff. Amazon went public in 97, but the company was founded in 94, and they hit 10 billion in 10 years. I don't know why we didn't see Amazon up there. Amazon took them about 10 years. Now, at the time of writing, ETH's revenue, I compared it today from 1 year ago. It's down 77%. So we still hit 10 billion, but guys, we are slowing down considerably, I would like to say. All right, well, Kevin, we got this chart, and I see Google next to Ethereum, then next to Facebook. Is comparing Ethereum to software companies, is that a fair comparison?
No, I don't think it is, because how do you really quantify this? It would kind of be like saying okay, let's look at the internet over the last 2 years and how much revenue did the internet make? So you can't really compare this. Because all those, the Googles, the Amazons, the Ubers, all of that can be built on top of Ethereum. So I don't think that's really a way to quantify it. And I think another way of looking at it is it's pretty outrageous. For what? For minting NFTs, for gas fees? Guys, I thought we were trying to get away from these fees. But if you guys remember in the second Matrix, the Oracle said the decision's already made. You're just trying to figure out why you made it. And it just seems like all of this is figured out already. Ethereum is the chosen one. And, seeing that chart, it really doesn't surprise me. I'd love to see where it's at in 10 years, though.
The Oracle. Quick question, Kevin, are we in a simulation? That's really what people want to know.
100%, dude. A
All right.
simulation is
Quick
nuts.
follow up. Do we have free will?
Yeah, you have free will in this simulation. You do. You do.
All right. What do you think? All right. The hard hitting questions. All right, Doug, I want to paint you a scenario because I feel like me and you we're both NFT degens to a level. We like getting involved in a community. I see one in your car right there. Well, last cycle, I remember minting NFTs, and I remember NFTs started getting a little expensive as the ETH gas fees skyrocketed, as it went from $20 a minute NFT to over sometimes $200. Doesn't even have to be a hype mint. I gravitated towards Solana, gravitated towards L2s. I minted some things on Polygon. I gravitated towards trading meme coins on Binance Smart Chain over ETH. Will we see the same thing next cycle? Will ETH gas fees hit an exorbitant amount just like it did 2 years ago?
That's a really good question, DZ, because I'm actually looking at a chart right now of gas fees, and we're at around like 14, I think, USD or whatever, like today or something. It's not good. Like, the problem that with this is that you might think, oh, the chart's shrinking, is getting a little bit better, but also we're in a bear market, bro. There's not a huge amount of activity. If we're talking about like Facebook and Walmart and Kohl's department store being on Ethereum, bro, like imagine the gas fees. Like, you're complaining right now that eggs are $7 and a gallon of gas is $25. Imagine when you buy an NFT for $50 and it's $3,000 in gas fees. Okay, just imagine that scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like, could happen. We're not in a simulation though. Like, if you see everything behind me is completely true. I also want to go back for 1 minute, DZ, about my comment, and you forgot the second part that says, Gary Gensler, you're coming in my territory and you're going to get pimp slapped. All right, so you better watch out. All right. There's a lot more I want to say, but I can't say that when there's children present. Okay. All right, Gary, so watch out.
And for the Department of Justice watching at home, we're talking about inside the metaverse. We're talking about inside
in the metaverse, inside the metaverse, and it's not real.
As his Nakamego, he's gonna. You no longer.
It's actually just a cartoon I'm making of Nakamegos. Everything that's NFT is just JPEG cartoons. It's not real. And it's just like a storybook that we live in. It's not real. It doesn't hold any value. 99% of NFTs hold no value. Nothing we do here matters in any way, DZ, and whatsoever.
Guys, we're just ones and zeros anyways. Remember, we are a simulation. That's what I think, at least. All right, well, Kelly, I feel like there's a word here that hedge fund managers and Fortune 500 and family investment offices are going to get really excited about, and that word is revenue. Can you see a possibility where people hear about, ETH revenue, and then they learned about staking. Then they kind of learned about, oh, wait, if I have, you don't even need 32, but if I have 32, I could spark up a node and we can generate revenue inside house. Do you think that hedge fund managers and maybe even corporate coffers, are they going to make any kind of massive switch from maybe exposure to Bitcoin to exposure to Ethereum off the promises of sweet revenue?
Well, I think it all ties into just the constant state of evolution and how early we are in the digital asset ecosystem. I did an interview about 2 weeks ago with Gary Cardone, and he actually brought up some interesting, him and then Jesse Olson both echoed 1 week after the other without talking to each other, this nature of all these institutions on the horizon, that there's so much that has not yet been explored in how Bitcoin, blockchain, Ethereum, all these different digital assets are going to be integrated into our everyday life. It ties into, again, to all the things we're talking about. What Doug just said with Kohl's and Target and Walmart. We just saw, I don't think people were really predicting 2 years ago that we're going to have a huge spike in miners fees and all the impact that on Bitcoin that we had with ordinals, right? And so that's a sort of a minimum thing. When we look at Ethereum, you have a broad, almost an endless range of different types of assets doing different types of utility and with different types of communities. And all those things, the majority of the crypto space outside of Bitcoin is built on top of Ethereum. So it's going to be interesting to see what different directions and different applications get integrated and how they're integrated. And because of that, I do think as people dip their toe into Bitcoin and the space becomes more comfortable with this digital space, that they are going to look to what's the next safest but risk on asset in the space. And for smart money and institutions, that is going to be Ethereum, because they're getting exposure to a broad range. Ethereum in a way is almost like an index for the rest of the altcoins. So I do think they're going to be integrating that into their portfolios. But interesting consideration here. Everybody's looking at post-halving. that we're going to get this absolute bull run like we've had in the past. The question's going to be here, if we do get the Bitcoin spot ETF, and we do have institutions coming in, also we have these Ethereum ETFs on the horizon, is the institutions, when they come in, is that going to be something that's going to change the dynamic with this huge money that pours in? Do pension funds want to get 1%, 2%, 3% exposure in a boom and bust cycle type of asset? Is there going to be suppression to keep more of a stable push up? That's going to be something we're going to have to look into as these institutions and smart money integrate. And I think, as always, it's an evolving space, and we need to make sure we're evolving our strategy and staying aware and being patient.
And speaking of evolving, would you rather have an evolved Charmeleon or one Bitcoin? But it's a PSA 10.
Oh, Bitcoin. And by the way, on the topic of simulation, let's be honest. None of us really realize everybody walking around is just a bunch of independent universes of interpretation bumping into other people of it. Because everything you see, you don't see it. You have light reflecting in your eye, and then your brain is interpreting it in its own unique way.
Yeah.
So everything we're doing, in essence, is a simulation because of that.
Yeah, and if you really want to look into it, beings will only evolve for reproduction. And so that's why some things see in infrared, some things don't have eyes, some things have sonar, So it's real good deep dive.
I practice, baby.
Yeah, it's a good deep dive. Good science corner there. All right, WAGMI Games, L2 on Immutable for gaming. Why is no one talking about this? We talked about Immutable in the morning stream on Discover Crypto, so you can check that out there. I'm a long-term holder, IMX. I mean, I'm going at 2 years pretty soon. I'll be 3 years. I'll be a 3-year holder of IMX. Certain point. I don't know when the airdrop was. Maybe it's 2 years. All right, let's go and talk about the oil companies mining Bitcoin. Hit the like button if you're an oily boy. Here we have just a picture of what we're talking about. Oil companies have excess energy. What they do today with the excess energy is flare it. Those big plumes of flame, that is wasted energy. That is energy that's just essentially creating some pollution, not really doing anything. That is when peak demand is then lowered. Well, you have some excess energy. Well, in Argentina, we have an oil company that with their peak energy, their excess energy, they are going to mine Bitcoin. Their name is Tech Petrol, based in Argentina, like I said, and they announced their decision this week, and they plan to drill at least 35,000 barrels of oil every day. And I'm going to pretend like I know what that means in a real way. I'm assuming it's a decent amount of energy, though. According to the company, the surrounding infrastructure of where they're located is just lacking. And so since there's not strong infrastructure around them, there's not a demand for all this electricity. So what are they going to do with the excess? They're mining Bitcoin, folks. A recent paper shows Bitcoin mining could potentially reduce methane emissions too. So there's a lot of good things that could happen here. They plan to reduce environmental impact by generating some profits and just reducing their exposure to pollution here. Now, Kevin, this happened in a country with 100% inflation. I don't know what their exact number. Their number changes every week, literally. It's like 109, 110. But let's just roughly say it's 100% inflation. If you're watching at home, that $5 gallon of milk is going to cost you $10 next year. So it makes a lot of sense in this country. Your dollar's rapidly losing value. Will we ever see this in a country with a more stable economy, or is this really going to be relegated to the hyperinflation nation states?
Well, first we got to understand that inflation is the feature. It's not a bug. So, but as far as that, you're talking about, are we going to see more Bitcoin mining from oil and gas companies? Is that what you're saying, DZ?
Yes. Are we going to see this pop off in places like America, places like Mexico, places where you don't have 100% inflation?
Yeah, because we might not be dealing with the hyperinflation here in the short term, but there's really no way out of the inflation. But as far as the oil and gas companies, I believe that Shell is already sponsoring the Bitcoin conference, so they're planning their Bitcoin strategy right now. I haven't heard too much about Ethereum, but yeah, Bitcoin mining is going to be in every oil and gas industry, not just in America, but in the whole world. I mean, guys, all roads lead to Bitcoin. It's the only way.
All right, Kevin, I want you to give me a year. What year will we feel like this is the reality? It doesn't have to be 51% or 99%, whatever. But what year will this be when we're like, oh, it's the norm, not the exception?
2030. You'll have nothing and be happy, Daisy.
20. I will not eat the bugs. I will not. All right. Well, let's go to Doug here now. Doug, what are your thoughts of this concept as a whole? You know, I see all these gas guzzling machines behind you, so you might have an interesting take. What do you think of the concept of oil companies mining Bitcoin across the globe?
Well, I live in the mountain fortress in Colorado. When you watch like the Hunger Games and they have their fortresses in the mountains, just like that, right? And so the things, I'm surrounded by granolas all the time. People that are like, even my sister's like, "Hey, Doug, what's the deal with crypto? Is it bad for the environment?" That's all she really knows because it takes up energy. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually saving methane and gas and oil right now. They're figuring out a way. My answer to people when they ask me questions is always like, it's about efficiency. We're using technology to try to make smart decisions, to try to make things more efficient. And this is a perfect example of doing that, right? We have extra gas, we have extra oil, whatever. We're going to use that to mine and we're going to become efficient. That's the real future, right? Like, how are we going to utilize all of our resources efficiently? Because if not, we're going to be in big trouble. If we keep on having wars with Russia, different conflicts, if they have their whole conglomerate in the Asia, in the East come together and try to fight the dollar, we're going to have to find every means that we can to be efficient and use technology and intelligence to maintain our status in the world and to keep the value of what we have, right? To fight inflation, to fight problems with resources. So this is really bullish. And I think this is a model we're going to have. Like, we're going to have inflation. We're going to have issues going into the future. I mean, I don't know if you see a future without inflation issues, because I'm pretty sure we're going to. I do like the idea that inflation is a feature, not a bug. And we can use this to go into the future and use crypto and Web3. It can we flip this around easy? Can Web3 become the good guy? Can we do something here? Can we save the dolphins? Can we save the oceans? What can we do next with crypto mining or whatever it is to finally get people to actually treat Web3 with a little respect and try to figure out how can this interact with the world?
Well, Doug, we know the good guys want you to eat the crickets. So until we got to flip the narrative. We have to flip the narrative. All right. Not convince the good guys because they'll never be good. Kelly, I think we all wrapping our heads around this concept. We have peak kilowatt hour usage time, but what about the average Joe? You kind of got to think of some second and third order effects. They got to think about 3 a.m. I guess people use less electricity. Will the average Joe be able to wrap their head around this narrative? Can this kill Bitcoin is bad for the environment, the noose that's hanging around its neck?
It's a battle in propaganda and awareness, number one.
Perfect. Yeah.
Propaganda was not necessarily even just because big banks didn't like blockchain. It was also, it's across the board of so many different institutions out there. One, also, they didn't have awareness either. And this conversation is perfect because, especially in the time where Tesla got involved with Bitcoin and then they basically backed out and said, we're going to wait until it's over 50% clean energy. And now there's many reports that have come out recently that show that we have crossed that mark. And in addition to that, even if we hadn't crossed that mark, even if it was still produced by, dirty energy, for instance, looking at oil and gas, it's a perfect analogy here because there's roughly 30 to 40% of the energy created worldwide, globally, that is wasted. So that means we're out there polluting the environment. If you're on the green side of things, we're polluting the environment, digging things up, processing stuff, and 40% of all that effort that's putting all this trash into the atmosphere is also a wasted effort. So if we are having flared off gas because it's excess, or if we're having energy that's lost in transit because it has nowhere to go, or it's not being used at peak time, and then, there's so much that ties into this. New battery technology that's going to be in houses, all these things are going to offset. We're seeing in Texas, we're having mining, Bitcoin miners essentially offset the grid. So they're running in off-peak hours. And when it is peak, you have mechanisms to increase the capacity of the network to support Bitcoin mining. And then if there's an issue, miners turn off and help provide that energy back to the grid. So there's about 45 different things that we know of right now that can harness energy that's already being produced and not produced it. I can speak, I promise. Energy that's being produced and use it, transmit all that energy into something that is stored forever. And then it doesn't have to be transported like fiat. It doesn't have to be stored. It doesn't have to cut down trees to make the paper money. There's about 45 different things immediately without changing anything on the green spectrum that Bitcoin already supports not only the notion, but actionable right now, actionable means to be better for the environment, let alone not only is it doing stuff with energy, it's helping global culture achieve more of a personal financial sovereignty and the ability to communicate on their own terms in a monetary nature and store that value against the as a hedge against inflation from the trust-based systems, which, let's be honest, none of us really are trusting our government right now. So all of this energy, I think the energy application is actually going to be one of those things that really helps get Bitcoin onto the side against all these FUD narratives, because it supports so many broad different things, from money to culture to energy to everything.
Very, very, very well said. I tend to agree. I do think that we'll probably never get the green narrative, because the green narrative is already co-opted by people who want control. And I don't see the people who want control ever losing that narrative or losing control of the narrative. So even though Bitcoin could be one of the best things for the environment, they'll never let that message reach the honest to goodness tree huggers. You know, the random person that just honestly wants a clean town, clean drinking water for their kids, you know, a clean Bambi-esque field in their backyard. But that is all we have time for. And it looks like the winner might have had a simulation glitch.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe the streak is over. I think Doug finally took it home. He's been talking about it. Doug, you got the 21 points here. It's a very, very close one. Doug, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts, if able.
Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Let's see.
Guys, I this wasn't planned. I don't know. Has he got a snap filter on or something? Are you going to like pop up as a Nakamigo?
Simulation's wild, man.
Doug, maybe you just weren't meant to win. Doug just wasn't meant to win, folks. He's struggling. I hear the mouse clicking. We're going to give you...
Okay, we're here.
I'm working with you.
I got it. Okay. I'm here.
Let's hear your thoughts, brother.
Let's just hear you, buddy.
Can you hear me right now?
We can hear you. Just keep it on the porch.
We had a technical glitch. I apologize. My OBS crashed. Okay, I finally won. And I want to say thank you to everybody on the show. Thanks to DZ. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes. Thanks to the confetti. Thanks to Hannah. All you guys have been amazing, wonderful, supportive. Shout out to Be Nice, who sponsors my sports car, and all the Nakamigos, the Golden Baboons, and all the people that I love in this life. And I really appreciate you guys. Kevin, Kelly, you're super intelligent. I'm here for this stuff, for Web3 and guys like you. And now that you can't see me, you can't just stare at my fur coat. You have to actually believe what I'm saying. You have to think about my words. And everybody in the chat, big ups to you, because watch out, I'm going to be in that chat and we're going to become friends, and it's going to be so much fun. We'll see you guys on the next one. We'll be around, and I'm looking forward to it, baby.
All right. Mirth said it best. Guys, he got assimilated. All right. Make sure you go down into the description. Kevin's got great content he's putting out. Classic Kev. Also, Doug Hype putting out great content. And, of course, Kelly at the BitLab Academy. Descriptions are going to be below-ish. Big shout out to Linqto. If you want to invest like an accredited investor, highly recommend you check them out as well. We have the link down there below. Hey, maybe something like Ripple Labs. Hey, they got a private sale. But that's all we got time for today. Until next time, hit the like button on your way out. Easy out. Hey, there it goes. It works.